Hi, I did my project on albinism, and for this lesson, at the end of this lesson, the students should be able to distinguish between the two most common types of albinism, describe associated ocular conditions, in addition to commonly recognized phenotypes, such as skin, color, or lack of. And describe how gene mutations can contribute to albinism expression, but may also be key targets for future treatments. So we start out with what is albinism? And it's a genetic condition that affects the melanin synthesis um, and causes hypopigmentation or a lack of color in the skin, the eyes, and the hair. Um, it There are two main types that are commonly recognized. OCA1, which is more common in individuals of European descent, also in Asians as well. People of fairer skin because um, they commonly have all white hair, uh, absolutely no pigment in their skin, and usually very light colored eyes because they lack pigment in their iris as well. I have a picture down here actually to show the a person with OCA1, a woman with complete lack of melanin. And then that compares with OCA2, which is actually more common. Um, and this person here you can see is of sub-Saharan descent with OCA2. You can see that he does still have some pigment, um, but a lot of freckling, the characteristic lighter hair, which is usually not blonde, but it can range from uh, light brown to reddish orange to it can be a lighter color, but it's not this color here. Also, individuals with OCA2 can actually sometimes can develop more pigment with age. So there's another difference. As far as the phenotypes and symptoms, there's the obvious ones, with the lack of color in the skin, the hair, and the eyes. Um, let's see, uh, but there's also other symptoms that are not usually as well known as far as with the eyes. And those include nystagmus, which is uncontrollable rapid eye movements. And the eyes can move in different directions with that. They can move laterally from side to side, they can move vertically up and down, or they can go actually circular. And I have a picture down here of that as well, the different types. Other than nystagmus, there's strabismus. Um, and that's where the eyes will turn inward or outward. It can be one or both. And I also have a picture of that. This child has actually um, exotropia, a form of strabismus. And you can see on the left where he came and presented with it, and after surgery, it's corrected on the right. Um, in addition to the eye symptoms, of course, there's hypopigmentation of hair, covered that. It can be even in the eyelashes at times. There's a heterochromia, which is a different color irises, and a lot of times blue irises are common. People with albinism, um, and freckling definitely is common. That's the freckles actually are the small melanin deposits, or the residual melanin deposits that form the darker spots on the skin, as seen in OCA2, that is. Um, oh, and also as far as inheriting albinism, you can go through genetic testing. It's a recessive trait, So both the parents that are both people that plan to have a child, excuse me, um, they can go through genetic testing, see what are the chances of their child inheriting it. Especially if they already have a child with albinism, they would like to probably go through this. There's a 25% chance that they will have a child with albinism if they both carry the recessive trait. The tissues affected, I've been kind of talking about, so I went briefly over the skin and the hair, but really the OCA1 is characterized by a very pale skin, a creamy white skin even, and OCA, whoops, excuse me. OCA1 is very pale skin, but OCA2 is a creamy white skin. Um, but with hair, OCA1, they have white hair, no pigment at all. And OCA2, the hair color can range from yellow to blonde, light brown, or even red. But all of this depends um, on the type of OCA, as I said, and then the amount of residual melanin that or the person's body produces. Um, then there are different things that are affecting the eyes, as we've touched on earlier. But some of the terms that are important are foveal hypoplasia, and that's where the underdevelopment of the fovea of the retina, and it's actually absent. Um, and that part of your eye is actually important for central vision sharpness, acuity. You can see down below on this picture where a normal retina has the fovea, and a person with albinism is lacking the fovea. Optical abnormal optic nerve decussation, and that is where there are increased and rerouting of different the optic nerves through the optic chism, um, and this disrupts binocular vision and depth perception. And as you can see in the picture below, um, the normal wiring is uh, not as dense as on the right. You can see that they're doubled up on the wiring with the blue here, and it's just more connections that aren't supposed to be there, which actually disrupts vision. And then of course, nystagmus and strabismus, as we talked about earlier, are also um, things that occur. Below, I talk about the normal production of melanin uh, by melanocytes, and how a reduction in the melanin actually contributes to the underdeveloped fovea or lack of fovea in the underdeveloped retina. Um, yes. As far as the genes that are at play, with OCA1, uh, the key gene is the tyrosinase gene, specifically the mutation on that gene, the R402Q mutation, which disrupts the tyrosinase ability uh, um, to convert tyrosine to dopaquinone, sorry, which then produces the melanin pigment. Um, That differs from OCA2, which there's actually OCA2 gene that produces the P protein, which um, converts the tyrosine, or which helps the tyrosine produce the melanin pigment. So without that, um, leads to albinism as well. Of note, that's on chromosome 15. Um, and yeah, that's essentially. As far as treatment, there is no actual like cure to go in and just be cured of albinism. But symptoms are managed with different treatments, particularly eye eye treatment and skin treatments through follow-up with ophthalmologists. They may prescribe just different lenses for um, any kind of issues mentioned previously. But for nystagmus, they might use prism lenses, which uh, is able to actually, it's a thicker glass that the person wears, and it bends the light a certain way that it hits the retina at a, or goes through the retina at a focal point where they're able to uh, correct their vision somewhat. And then with strabismus, surgical intervention, if necessary, to correct it, since it is related to the eye muscles. A person may follow up with a dermatologist for routine annual skin screenings for skin cancer. Um, and this is actually a picture of someone that has a facial skin cancer right there with the star looking pattern. Um, they can also follow up for things with eczema, other inflammatory conditions as well. As far as the research, mice have been used as model animals, as they usually are for different things, but they've been used for this. They first discovered that they could be used as models for albinism, specifically infantile nystagmus syndrome. Um, and they exposed different mice to, of course, albino mice. The OCA1 would be the white one. The OCA2 would be the brown. Um, oh, we might have that mixed up. But the main point of this is that the mice were exposed to anterior views, restricted views, and non-restricted views of stimuli, and they recorded their median eye velocities to determine if they had nystagmus, and that would show a reversed optokinetic response, which is um, similar to that seen in humans with albinism. Um, Now, what they've tried to do as far as moving forward with treatments, try to do a tyrosinase gene transfer specifically for the OCA1 um, affected individuals, as seen with the other slide with the genetic mechanisms. You could picture how tyrosinase uh, would actually help them produce melanin again, since that's what's affected or what's blocked on that diagram. And they administer the tyrosinase gene through the something called an adeno-associated viral mediated delivery. And they had fairly promising results, although it might not correct completely, like just fovea hypoplasia will not put a new fovea there, um, or untangle and fix the optic routing through the chism, but it can improve some conditions. And then they've also gone on to start working with human cells, specifically the retinal pigment epithelium. And essentially, they're trying to study this, see how they can maybe increase the pigmentation in these areas, which could then possibly improve the function and development of the retina. And if they catch it early enough, maybe they could even correct some issues in some younger patients. Hopefully, at the end of this, you're able to distinguish between the two common types of albinism, OCA1 and OCA2. You're able to describe and understand that there's more to albinism than simply uh, lack of color in the skin and the hair and the eyes. There's a lot of ocular conditions to be understood as far as the nystagmus, strabismus, um, and just uh, different things with the uh, ill-formed fovea or lack of, or optic fiber misrouting. And last but not least, you should be able to describe how gene mutations contribute to albinism expression, which are um, the R402Q mutation in OCA1, or the mutation that um, deletes the P gene in OCA2. And you can see that you should also be able to see how those genes are used or manipulated with future treatments, as far as adding the tyrosinase gene back into the OCA1 uh, to correct for the previous R402Q mutation. Thank you, and I hope you learned something about albinism.